Alright, so recently I shot a Nikon Z8 video and I got a lot of flack about that, and it's okay because the whole take back from that video was that I was super impressed with the files that the Nikon Z8 produced, and it had me think about going out to look at the Z6 III, the Z9, or the Z8, and as you can tell I landed on the Nikon Z8, and I just want to talk about what the reason was for me hopping into this system, what I like about it, and a few things that I dislike about it. So, of course, the files are the #1 reason that I went with the Nikon Z8. After getting a taste of the ZF, the files were amazing. And to be quite honest with you, these files are so good, in my opinion, if your white balance is correct and your exposure is correct. You could take them out of the camera, put them into your computer, not post-process at all, and export them as a JPEG and send them to your clients, and I believe that they would be happy for the most part. These are just beautiful files. They look so true to life, and I love them. It's probably the best files that I've seen other than the Canon 5D Mark III, straight out of the camera. They're amazing. And it's almost 50 megapixels. I don't need that much, but it is nice to have that if you're somebody who likes to crop. It's there if you need it. So it is nice to have that flexibility, and if you shoot in what they call DX mode or APS-C mode, Super 35 mode, whatever, you're getting around 20 megapixels with that. So there is a lot of good reasons to have this many megapixels for a lot of people out there. I like to use the full sensor on this camera personally, and I'm sure most people do, but if you do shoot birds, or if you're in a pinch at a wedding or something and you need something closer or tighter, you can definitely hop over into DX mode to shoot things like that. Reason #2 that I went with this camera are the ergonomics. This thing is built like a tank, just like my 5D Mark III, and it reminds me so much of that. It has a huge grip on it, and it is hefty, and I love that about cameras. A lot of people want to go light with their cameras, and I'm the opposite. I want it to feel like it's going to last a long time, and this definitely has a premium, hefty feel to it, and I absolutely love it. And the flip screen is great as well. It doesn't fully articulate. I don't need that because I use external monitors for most of the work that I do if I am videoing something. So this is just perfect. It is a very photocentric camera, and yeah, the ergonomics kick ass. On the video side of things, which I'm not huge on, because I usually shoot YouTube things, or I have smaller clients that don't need anything crazy. But the fact that you can shoot 8K in camera is astounding. I have not used it at all. I have shot 4K the entire time with this thing, and the video files out of this and the dynamic range are beautiful. The N-Log is so easy to work with, in my opinion, versus Sony. It's just night and day with the files that come out of this thing versus my Sony. I'm sure there's cameras out there that are better than the A7 IV that I typically use, but for me, this is everything and more than I need. I will not be shooting 8K, and I don't know what I would do with 8K, to be quite honest with you. So it is nice that this camera has the ability to do that in case I need to one day up my video game. And speaking of video though, the IBIS on this is far superior to my Sony A7 IV, and I was honestly surprised by that. The autofocus is fantastic as well with video, and I just wanted to throw that in there because a lot of people don't know that about Nikon, but the autofocus is really good. And right now I'm using a Sirui 40mm 1.8, and it works great on there too. It's just really nice that this is such a reliable camera, and the video functionality is there if you need it. So another reason that I went with this one over the Z6 III is because there is actually a sensor cover on this camera. As you can see, it's there. And the strange thing is that the Z6 III doesn't have that. And I find that to be absurd because that's actually a mechanical shutter camera and this is electronic shutter. And at first I didn't know how to feel about that because I just trust mechanical shutters so much because that's what I've used forever. And having something with electronic shutter has actually been really nice. And honestly, whenever you're shooting video and photos, you get no flicker from anything. With this video, I'm sure you'll be able to see this lamp back here doing the flicker thing. But with this camera, it never does that. And I love that about this camera. So the electronic shutter is something that I've had to get to because the sounds of the shutters are embarrassing. And if you've ever watched any of my videos, you know that I love shutter sounds, and it's just pathetic, the sounds that you get from this. So fake. I hate the shutter sound, but the shutter itself is great, other than the sound. You know, it's something to get used to, and this thing shoots at such a high frame rate, and it just never misses really. It's been awesome. It's just been awesome. But it was hard to get used to that part about it. Another reason I went with this is because it is weather sealed. I guess that should have been with the Ergonomics at the beginning, but I do need something that's weather sealed because I put myself into elements all the time that most people probably wouldn't put their camera in. And that's just something that I look for whenever I am purchasing a camera that I will be using as my main camera. And I have not shot on the A7 IV since I purchased this camera almost 6 months ago, and it's been amazing. It's overall a fantastic camera. I like all the quirks and everything about it. Like whenever you actually turn the camera on, you get this really cool LCD screen that lights up if you do like an extra press. And I love having the LCD screen on the top, and I like the buttons on the top as well because you have bracketing mode and white balance and everything just like you need. And it's just right there, and there's no dials that you have to spin to get to all these things. It's just quick to navigate, to be honest with you. A few things I don't like about it is the ISO, and I had the same issue whenever I was shooting with the ZF, and I find it to be quite annoying. Is that most cameras that I have, I can just spin the back dial to change my ISO, and I change it quite often. But these cameras, you do have to press a button and spin, and I know it's very small, but it's something that I've been used to for years. And it's just something that I've had to relearn. And the menu system to this is quite difficult to get used to, but once you do, just like every other camera, it's not impossible. You will understand it and you will get through it. My quick setup menu is really nice and very easy to navigate now that I've figured it out and I've got it exactly how I wanted it. The biggest issue with this camera, and it pisses me off so bad, is that I've watched this review on the Sirui anamorphic lens from a ton of YouTubers, and I absolutely love this lens, and it does cover a full frame sensor. However, Nikon, every single one of them, as far as mirrorless goes, will not allow you to access your full sensor if you're using a crop sensor lens. And it makes me so mad that they want to cripple your creativity. Because if I wanted something with a lot of vignetting and I wanted to have an artistic look, that's my choice. It should not be the brand's choice to tell me what I can and cannot do with my camera. And it makes me so mad. So mad that I've almost purchased this lens for Sony so I could shoot the videos that I wanted to over this one. I haven't done it, but I want to do it because I can't use my full sensor on my very expensive camera, and it just upsets me a little bit, as you could probably tell. Overall, this is the reason that I switched. Ergonomics, the files that come out of this, the image quality is fantastic. High burst rates, which I don't use personally, but it is nice to have those specs. Shooting 8K with in-log, oh, come on, that's nuts. Something that I'll probably never use, but it is there if you do need it, and I find that to be nice to have a crutch of some sort. A lot of people are going to be pissed off at this, but I don't have any Nikon lenses for this. I actually have all of my Sony lenses that I use for this camera, and they work great. I have this adapter. I'll link it below if that's something that you're interested in. I don't know the name of it. Megadap maybe, and it works, I mean, so good. I usually use the 35mm 1.2 by Sigma, and Nikon just released their 35mm 1.2, but you can get this lens that I'm shooting on right now for about $900, whereas their lens costs about $2,800. If I'm ever looking to be sponsored by Nikon in any capacity, I just kick that out of the window, because they're not going to want me to be any kind of ambassador for them, since I am using third-party lenses. But I love Sigma, and if you've watched any of my videos, you would know that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this very short video about why I decided to go with Nikon. They are great, and I think 2025 is the year for Nikon. Sony has been amazing, and I will keep using Sony as well. I have 2 cameras set up by Sony right now, but I have not touched them for photography or any of my main work since I've purchased this, and I probably won't. My wife uses these cameras a lot. So anyway, that's all I got today. I really appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, peace.